Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Masterminds podcast.
Each episode, we invite extraordinary guests who are masters of their craft. They're innovators, entrepreneurs, and of course, motorcycle enthusiasts who have made their mark in the world.
They share their stories, insights, and hard-earned wisdom, giving you a front row seat to the strategies and experiences that shape their successes.
So sit back, grab a drink, and get ready for an exhilarating ride as we dive deep into the minds of these exceptional individuals.
Along the way, we'll uncover powerful strategies, gain fresh perspectives, and explore the limitless possibilities of what it takes to be an American mastermind. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Masterminds podcast. I am your host, Topher Sheeler. I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Adams.
What up, what up?
We've got Alec Langdon up on the soundboard tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, not to be outdone, we have a live studio audience with us here this evening. There we go.
Yay, applause.
Yes.
And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest for you here this evening. From Enevive, the Aquaman himself, Trent Spafford.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
How's it going, Trent? Thanks for
Really
coming
good.
on the show.
Yeah, man, thanks. What a great place you got here.
We're glad you're here.
I'm in good company.
Well, I just wanted to jump right in. Trent is a good friend of mine. We met back at the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. We both got scholarships, and this program is given out to small businesses here locally. Throughout the country, they do this, and it's a very rigorous program where we're meeting, was it once a week?
Yeah, 12 weeks.
For 12 weeks, and you get in there, and you're with, for your example, you have a water a testing company,
Water research
firm.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a lady with a daycare, a gal with a title company, there was a real estate agent, some IT guys. I mean, every type of business that you could imagine, and they kind of help you break it down and kind of rebuild it. And the thing is when you get into business, and Trent, jump in here anytime, when you get into business, you don't necessarily know what you're getting into.
Yeah, totally.
And so as a business owner, you have to know a little bit about marketing. You have to know a little bit about taxes. You have to understand about all of these things, about corporate law and all these different things. And it was really good to get in there and meet all these different people, but mostly to listen to the professors run over the curriculum. And some of the days were very heavy,
Yeah, it was like a master's degree compressed down into 12 weeks, and it was just go, go, go. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
There was homework you had to bring in, and there was it was for real. And and you had to write, we had to write was it a paper, a thesis?
A new business plan, a business opportunity, growth plan.
Growth plan. We had to write this growth plan, and it was challenging because it wasn't anything you could just punt and get it. It was like you had to submit the rough draft. They would read the rough draft, and they would have revisions for you or things you had to work on. It was college level, difficult, hard course.
Huh.
In fact, I nominated a friend of mine. She's in the program right now. And it was really interesting. It was a soup mix of different companies, like Rob said. But what's so interesting is that, business owners, we all go through similar things, similar doubts, similar fears, similar things that we have to hurdle to really progress and grow. And what this program really did for me was solidify in my mind, what I needed to do to grow. And 12 months later after that program, we doubled our revenue, literally. So
Really?
Yeah, it was really impressive. And so we learned a lot of great things, a lot of great strategies, accounting, how to read a P&L, because if you're not looking at your profit and loss and your cash flow, and I mean, those were some of the harder days for me. I don't know about you, Rob.
Oh, yeah. I remember there was a couple times I would look up from this sheet. Now we're doing the sheet work, and now we need to find out, do the math and find out what that is. And I'd be doing the math, and I would sit back and I would look up, and Trent, almost at the same time, we'd sit back and look at it
Oh my gosh. Shit.
Damn. My brain is broken. Yeah, my brain was full around 10:30, and we're going till 3 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Oh, my gosh.
It was intense, and I remember just shaking my head, just this is a lot.
Huh.
But we made it through.
We graduated.
We graduated.
12 weeks
Now we're
later?
alum.
Yeah, we're Goldman Sachs alum.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fancy.
For real.
Title.
Yeah, it is a title. I've got a framed plaque.
No kidding.
To prove it. Yeah.
You got your plaque?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Proud of it.
Flew out to D.C. They had a great big cohort. There's cohorts all over the country, and everybody was comped a free ticket into this whole. George W. Bush spoke. Gwyneth Paltrow over in D.C. We met with congressmen, trying to get some momentum for the Small Business Administration, the SBA. It was awesome. I don't think you went out there.
Go.
But it was fantastic. But it was high level training, high level. Goldman Sachs was there talking about the state of the economy, all these different things. And I think the key to success in a business, like our student over here, the student or studio audience, you just got to show up.
Yeah.
That's like one of the biggest keys of success is just getting out of bed and showing up.
Sure.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was my number one thing in college. Show up, sit in the front row, pay attention, you're going to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So during the program, one of the very first days we had to go out. It was kind of the get to know you period, and we would team up with somebody. They like said, pick someone in the room. You're gonna listen to their business, and then you're gonna pitch it. So I stood up and we locked in, and I'm like, let's go. We went outside, and we only had 10 minutes, 15 minutes to tell each other what we were all about. And Trent delivered with such authority and passion about his business. I was really kind of like surprised, like, with water, like we're talking about water. And he was like, in the thing and the deal, and there's cancer and all these, like he had all these like compelling ideas. And I thought, this man really believes in what he's doing. I meet a lot of people who sell a lot of things and they have no belief in what they're doing. It's a means to an end. It's not a mission or a goal to make improvement in the world. And as he told me his story, I was really like, I was proud of you. Like it sounds like an old guy thing to say, but I was proud. Like, this is someone I'm going to be friends with the rest of my life. Like, and I knew right away, it was 15 minutes. I'm like, this guy right here, I'm going to be friends with him the rest of my life because he's so passionate about what he's doing. And as I tell Chase, our studio audience, if you're into making quilts, man, be the best quilt maker out there. And I respect it. Tell me more. I want to know more about your quilting. And so as I learned more and more about it, an amazing program, but more importantly, an amazing man, an amazing friend. Grateful that you're here today.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
That really means a lot.
Awesome. So let's just jump right into it. Water.
Yeah.
Did you know that 2/3 of the water in the world is held on the North and South Pole?
What?
That means 1/3 of the water in the world is usable. 30% of that water is underground. Fresh water.
Fresh water.
Usable,
okay.
usable
water. I was
water.
going to say.
Yeah, not like usable, like I can ride my boat on it, like I can drink it and cook with it. That means 30% of that water then is underground, is unusable. It's in the ground. So 70% of the water is on the surface, is usable water for us. Now that 70% of the water, there's no new water. Earth doesn't get new water. The water that's here, this 70% is the same water that we've been using for thousands of years. It's the same water that comes and goes and comes and goes. Are you surprised I know so much about water?
Wow, I'm impressed.
And
you're Aqua Boy. I'm Aqua Man. You're the boy.
I'm Aqua Boy.
Let's go.
The thing about water that is so fascinating is that it's not a renewable resource. It's something that we have to take care of. And as I learn about water, some of the things that is fascinating to me is that the water is different qualities in different places. And it never really occurred to me because I grew up poor and I just drank what came out of the tap.
Or the hose.
Or the hose. Yeah. Man, I love a good rubbery water. It's delicious.
It's a little BPA, BPS.
Yeah,
all of the
sure.
things, all the good stuff.
Whatever.
When I moved to Utah, though, I moved here from Houston, Texas, and the water in Houston, Texas comes from wells, and the water here is a lot of recycled water that's pumped up into tanks, and then that's how they do it. And when I poured water for myself in Magna the first time, I remember seeing those sea monkeys thinking, I don't know if I can drink that. And the same is true in Sandy. There's some really hard water in Sandy, and so Utah has some really terrific water problems, some troubles, unique to the country, and that's kind of the mission. That's what we're going to talk a little bit about.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, what you were saying is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do serves as the evidence and proof of what you believe. So passion or conviction comes through, really what you believe about what you're doing. Because a lot of people just are in it for the money, or like, I'm going to sell this widget. No matter what widget or what program you're in, if you don't have a strong why, and if people buy why you do what you do, and all you're doing is selling a widget or the what or the how, and you really don't lead with the why, it makes a huge difference. And that's what I think we felt, and I felt the same way with you. like when you were talking about Thanksgiving heroes and everything that you did and you're doing and your why, you would cry. Like you made me cry. In fact, I think I may have cried in that first introduction about you. I think I did. I think a tear came to my eyes. And because you and I both connected on that why level.
Yeah.
And that's what makes all the difference.
Powerful. So let's start with that then. Where did you get your why from? Why is this so important to you?
Well, in the beginning, I was 15 years old. My mom, single mom, my dad was killed in a car wreck when I was 5 months old. So I never had a father, right? Ever. And what example I did have of a father, they were bad guys that my mom had remarried and then divorced and remarried again. So the example that I had of a man in my life was pretty raunchy. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
My mom was a great woman, great leader of our family. Well, have issues, right? She did too, but she raised me to be the man of the house at a very, very young age. So she would have me open the door for her at a very young age, pull out the chair, and people would comment, "Oh my gosh, you're training your little boy." And she's like, "He's the man of the house." So now I'm 15 years old. She took me to go close on a home when I was 8. She took me to go buy a car. And I remember sitting there with my single mom. I was like now 10 or 12. And we're buying this car. And she goes, "Come on, Annie, let's go." And I'm like, "Oh, I thought we were about to buy the car." And she's like, shh, "Come on, let's go." And she walked us out to the parking lot. And here came the salesman. "Mrs. Spafford, come on back in. Come on." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're going back in." We did that 3 times. And she got the deal that she wanted. She taught me how to negotiate at a very, very young age.
Oh,
Wow.
So, and she taught me just to be, where the husband would be standing at like automobile repair or, those kind of things. So I'm 15. She goes, "Honey, come on downstairs. The salesman's coming over." I knew what that meant. So I'm sitting there at the kitchen table and this guy comes in and he's with a water softener company and he does this cool demonstration on water softeners. And at the end, he looks at my mom and says, "So, Mrs. Spafford, what do you think?" And she looked at me and goes, "I don't know, Trent, what do you think?" And I looked at them both and we started to talk and negotiate, and I helped negotiate the sale at 15. I looked like I was 20 though, and I was a big kid. I looked a little bit older. And so the guy goes, "Hey, walk me out to my car." I'm like, "Okay, it's dark outside." So I walk him out and he goes, "What do you do for work?" I'm 15, right? But I was a bagger at a grocery store making like $2.85 an hour.
Oh, jeez.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
1983. So
that might be before you were born, son.
Well,
so, and he goes, "You want to make more money than that?" And I said, "Sure I do." "Doing what?" And he goes, "Doing marketing and advertising for this water softener company." I'm like, "Well, what do you do?" And he goes, "You go door to door and you ask people out to try out a water softener for 30 days for free." And I'm like, "Well, if it's free, how do I make money?" He goes, "It's advertising. We'll end up selling 70%, 70 to 80% of any of those free trials that you get installed." And so my next question was, "Okay, well, how many do you do in a day? What does it take to get one?" Right? And he goes, "I'll do 1 or 2 a night, and I'll pay you $100 for each one that you get installed." "And you do 1 or 2 a night?" I said. And he's like, "Yeah." And I go, "I'm interested. I'll check that out." So he took me out training the next night. It was a Thursday, and he got 2. I'm thinking that's $200 in about 3 hours. That's good money. I'm in. So he gave me a stack of brochures. There was no cell phone, no internet, no iPads, no programs. It was a clipboard, a pencil, and some brochures. And so I rode my bike. I didn't tell him how old I was, but I was trained. I could do this. And so I rode my little 10-speed bike, little pouch, into a neighborhood, and I started knocking doors. I didn't go Friday. I went Saturday, and I got 8.
What?
My
No
first day.
kidding.
Yeah. So, and I think 5 of them actually got installed, but $500 when you're 15, 1983, that's really good money for advertising. I'm like, I can do this. So I quit my job. I'm no longer a bagger. And now I'm in marketing and advertising at age 15. And so I kind of got into it at a young age. And I really am grateful for my mom who coached me up at a young age and held me capable of doing things that maybe younger kids at that time weren't doing. And I'm really grateful for her to do that, having done that. So I'm grateful, and really was my mom who got me into the water kind of indirectly. But later I went on and played a little college football at Dixie College, UNLV, and then the U, and then I hurt my back. And then in 1996, I started my first water softener company. And I was like every other water softener company out there. You know, we'd knock on a door or we'd do some advertising, soft water this, soft water that. And I didn't know this, but I was missing the boat. And then, and I did really well for years, got married, had a couple kids. And then it was really in 2002, I read a book called The E-Myth Revisited by Gerber. The E-Myth Revisited. And for any entrepreneur, if you're in the hunt for being your own business owner, that is an absolute must read. So I started reading this book, and I kid you not, I started to cry chapter 1 because it was me. And the E-Myth is this entrepreneurial myth. It's a myth that if you're a really good salesman or you're a really good technician, if you're a really great welder, doesn't make you really qualified to run a welding company.
Right.
And so we have, like, all of us we have this seizure, and it's like, oh man, I want to do my own business. And that is the best day and the worst day of your life.
Right.
Because I was a really, really, really good salesman. Nobody was closed. In fact, I was one of the first salesmen to ever sell under the sink reverse osmosis system in the state of Utah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was the first one to really start to grow a real water business in the state of Utah. So I was kind of on the leading edge of water purification, water filtration. And so I read this book, and every single chapter, I'm just like, oh, I'm highlighting. I'm reading it in the gym. I'm reading it in the sauna. I read it like 3 or 4 times. I have my original copy and it's fallen apart. But I digested that information with repetition. And I kept going over it and going over it and going over it. And I got to tell you, it makes a difference. And it talks about creating systems then. You can be a great salesman or a great welder or a great auto mechanic. And then when you try to level up to becoming an entrepreneur, there is a whole new set of skill sets that you have to learn because it is very different. And you can be those great technicians, is what they call it in the book, a technician. But if you don't learn how to become an entrepreneur and work on the business and not just in it, then you're going to fail. Like that's why so many businesses fail today. It's like 96% of businesses in the first 12 months fail, according to the Small Business Administration. So I started reading all this stuff, right? So I'd been in business since 1996. So I'd made it through like 5-6 years. And then I read this book and I just leveled up, and I knew that I had to change. And one of the things that they taught me was so powerful in this book is that you look at the competition of what they're doing and you do the exact opposite of what they're doing.
Differentiation.
Yes. So I sat back and I looked at the water treatment industry as a whole. And you had a lot of like really good, hardworking individuals, but they were kind of from this era of Kirby vacuum salespeople who would go door to door and they would, hey, have a set of steak knives, get in the door, and then do this full demonstration and where they vacuum the floor, and they would do a demo and they would sell maybe 2 out of 10 demos. And so it was all about going door to door and getting your demos. How many demos a week?
At bats.
Yeah. How many at bats? And you're going to hit a home run maybe 2 times out of 10. And that's pretty good. And so the cost of those products that they would sell would be very high to support a low closing percentage, right?
Sure.
And I looked at it and I said, and I put the client in the center. And here's a little tip. If you really want to know how good you are, is ask yourself, what are you selling? So some real estate agents might say, I sell real estate. Or a welder will say, I sell phenomenal welds. I'd sell trailers or whatever you're welding. But really, And in the water industry, it was, I sell this, water treatment filter, whatever it might be. But what I learned is it's the client's experience is what you sell. It is, and part of what that experience is in the center, part of it is the product, part of it is the financing, part of it all kind of accumulates into the client experience. So I took a look at the experience and I'm like, all right, what do people experience in this water business? High pressure, one call close, Kirby vacuum sales tactics, because they all came from the Kirby vacuum industry.
Right.
Because you can, like, when I was 15, I'm watching this sales guy do this really cool demo on our kitchen table, and I can see it right here. My mom's right here. And he was doing the soap and the testing. I'm like, wow, that is really cool. You can't make this up. It's real. So my trust went up. And so putting the client experience, that's what I sell, is I sell the most amazing client experience on planet Earth when it comes to water. No one is better. I have dialed it in, and it started with that book, The E-Myth.
Huh.
You gotta read the book.
I'm on it.
Phenomenal book.
I'm gonna reread it. You kind of there's some things I remember reading that book and feeling that like incredibly like, the way he presents the ideas is just like, well, no shit. That's inarguable. It's really very good.
Yeah, and that's why McDonald's is so big. They don't sell the best hamburger, but they have a system.
Yeah. And
it's a reproducible. I know. I just drove from Colorado to Salt Lake through one of the worst snowstorms. It was prolific. I can't even tell you. I almost ran a guy over trying to get himself out. Anyway, but that McDonald's in Colorado and all the way through, I think it's like 15 of them, they all produce the same product. It's the trust of the experience. I know if I want a Big Mac or a quarter pounder with cheese,
it'll even be wrapped the same. It's not even the sandwich.
Yeah.
It's the packaging is the same. It's stacked the same. It's
the way they put the pickles.
Yeah.
The pattern of the pickles on the bun.
It's all
systematized.
Yeah.
And that's part of the key thing. And so what I did is I looked at the water industry and I re-engineered it. And I said, okay, there's not going to be a one call close. We're actually going to educate people before we even ask them to buy anything. So we start with the why. Again, it's not what you sell, it's why. It's the why. And what you do serves as the evidence and proof of what you believe. And so what happened with you and I when we first met, we connected energetically because we believe a lot of the same things. And as I've ridden with you guys, like there's a vibe. And it's catchy, right? And you connect with people on a fabric frequency vibration. Yeah. And when you identify with those people, those become your tribe. I mean, there's like 8 or 9 billion people now on the planet, and creating a tribe of people who have similar beliefs. Like, I believe this. Do you believe that? No? Cool. Good for you. Not my guy.
Yeah. Next.
Okay. No judgment at all. None. But when you start, and then you start to attract other people to you. And like, we just hired a new client services director for my company. And it was all about what we believe. It wasn't about the products that we sell. I wanted to find out what she believed. And so these people, when they would interview with me, it wasn't about the what, the soda can. It was, tell me what you believe about this. What do you believe about that? Do you believe that people have a right to know what's in the water and how it may be affecting their health right now? Do you believe that? Or should there be things that are kept from the public's eye? Because there's very little that the water municipalities are required by law to disclose. So most people are in the dark. They have no clue. But when we lead with the why and ask people, do you believe that you have a right to know what's in your water? Yes, I do. Do you know what's in the water? No, I don't. Do you really think you would like to know? Yes, I do. Let's talk. And so we lead with the why, not with the how and the what. See, when I was selling for this water softener company, I'll keep them nameless. They're still in business. I would knock on the door. Hey, do you have a water softener? That's the what.
Yeah.
Right? Now, when we either knock on a door or do internet marketing or any kind of lead gen program, it's, do you believe you have a right to know what's in your water? Do you believe that? So we start right off the bat of identifying, what do you believe, and do we match?
Right.
And if so, we do business, and it's so much easier, and it flows. No pun intended, but it flows, and it's easy when you're working with people who believe what you believe. And when you hire people, and it's easy to work for them, because, you know, and Simon Sinek is really, really one of my like mentors too. I love what he teaches about start with why. Great video on YouTube, Simon Sinek, Start with Why. I watched that when I first saw that in like 2010. It's like a 30-minute TED Talk. And I'm not kidding when I tell you this. I've listened to it at least 75 times. I've digested it. Like, I understand it here. Not just here, but I get it, right? So we lead with that why in recruiting, hiring, training. Who do we work with? Who are our vendors? Do you believe this? Yeah? No? If it's a no, okay. I'm not gonna pick up that line, right? So, but leading with the why is so very powerful. And it all really did start with this unraveling of what I had been taught, you know, for 10 years of start with the what and the how. And when you switch it to the why, man, it's a game changer.
But that also means, or that alludes to, that you know, once you bring these people in, that means that the product itself is something to be believed in.
Yeah.
Right? Which I'm sure we'll get to. You had something?
Well, I was going to say, one of the things in my real estate business is I start with a what a lot. And then I try to establish value in the what. Like, and this is why you should choose me. This is what I do differently, and here's why. I think if you start with the why, what I'm hearing you say is there's not going to be an argument in value, because the value is established initially in the why. If you start with the what, then that's where you have to start to build value. You're starting way ahead of the curve on that.
That's right.
So in real estate, if I could create the value in the why, I spend a lot of times talking about commissions and fares and taxes and all the different things that go along with the net sheet, because I want to provide everything. I feel like starting with the why would eliminate a lot of that conversation, because if I can provide value up front, we can start with the very reason, like, why are you moving? Why is this important to you? Then step back and then talk about the service I provide. I see how we could apply this idea of what you're saying to really any industry.
Yeah.
Any business.
It makes it very simple. You just gave the answer, right? If your why lines up with my why, now we can talk about doing business here.
It's like you're starting with the answer, not the question.
Right.
Yeah. That's smart.
That's smart. Really smart.
Yeah.
So,
and
you read the book and it's what triggered you to do it, or you just slowly over the years, like through trial and error, you were working your way into this method?
Yeah. Well, what happened is in 2002 during the Olympics, I had a friend that I'd gone to high school with, and he was doing security for the Olympics, right? He was like one of the main security guys for the main office downtown, right, not too far from here. And he was done. Olympics were over. He had nowhere to go, no job. And I was like, come, I'll train you how to do water. Turned out he was the worst closer ever. He could not go in and do a one-call close. And it was right then that I was reading the E-Myth, right? And I thought, what if I reconstructed everything about the way the client experiences water treatment salespeople, re-engineer that, and let's guinea pig it with my friend. And I'll leave him nameless. But he was the worst salesman that I had ever seen, like, for real.
Special skills worst.
Yeah. But he was a hard worker. He was like, I loved him. Like,
intelligent. Yeah, all the things.
Yeah. And so I rediscovered this whole new process and re-engineered it, and putting the client in the center. Like, what if we did something where we met with a client and did not try to sell them anything? None of this one-call close. No bait and switch. Oh, I'll test your water and then do my demo for 3 hours, and close 2 out of 10 at bats, right? So we re-engineered this whole process, and his closing went from 10% closing to 70.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, holy shit, if he can do that, somebody with even better skills, man.
Yeah, some
Yeah,
talent.
I was closing, like there were months where I did not miss. I was 100%. I'm really, really, really good at what I do. I'm the best. There's nobody better than me. And I don't say that in an egotistical way.
You've been doing this a long time.
I've done it a long time. I've worked on my skill. I have bloody knuckles. I've got calluses from how many at-bats I've done. I've been in the trenches. I've done installs. I've done marketing. I've been door to door. I've been snowed on with, my hands frozen to, popcorn tins. Hi, would you like a popcorn tin? And it's 5 below, like literally. So I've been through this, and that's another kind of key strategy, is you can't quit.
Right.
Like there are moments when I wanted to quit, and there was doubt, and there was rainstorms ahead. And I'm like, man, do I want to keep doing this? And I did, and I just put my head down, and I kept going, and here I am. And we're doing things that no other water treatment company has ever done. We're now nationwide. Where it used to be in my little territory here in Utah, Salt Lake County. I didn't want to go to Ogden because it was too far. But now we're selling protocols, water treatment protocols all over the country, high end. And so we're really transforming, and that's my goal, is to transform a whole industry, because everyone else, they're still stuck back in the 70s. Tin Men, that's another great movie. Watch Tin Men. That's the way things used to be sold back in the day, with aluminum siding salespeople. That's a great movie. Also, Glenn Ross.
Oh, man. Coffees for closers, baby.
Coffees for closers.
I love that movie.
Well, that is an epic movie. But so my goal is to transform not only people's water in their home and small businesses into safe water, but to transform a whole industry. And that was part of my 10,000 Goldman Sachs 10,000 business plan, is to really elevate my thinking and expand it into a much bigger vision. And it's happening. And that's what's so exciting right now. It's pretty fun.
That's really interesting. So just thinking out loud here, the people have kind of woken up to, like, there's been a resurgence in health, and I don't know where that started. How much of this getting nationwide and whatnot is attributed to just access to information? People are actually paying attention to what's going in their food, what's going in their water, and things like that.
Yeah. And what happened really is we had some really big Instagrammers, some influencers kind of fall in love. They experienced Enevive, right? And Enevive, by the way, means the original life. En is a Greek word, and Vive is French. And I'm like, man, I'm rebranding. 2017, we're doing fresh, innovative things. I need a name that is new, fresh, nobody else. It's us, it's me. And so I started researching, words. Ene, Greek, and it means the origin or beginning or original. Ene, and then vive is life, the original life. And so everything we do now is getting people back to some original concepts of good health. Number one, understand the toxic tsunami that is diffusing into the water supplies all over the country. And back to your point earlier, every water municipality has a totally different water chemistry, because one area may have been polluted on the ground, and it takes decades for those toxins to soak into and permeate down into the water table. And then once they hit the water table, they start to diffuse with equilibrium. So the contaminants come down, boom, they start to diffuse. Day one, no toxins in the water. Day 10,000, tsunami of toxins coming into the house, delivered in the tap water. And so it takes decades, right? Even 5 decades, 50 years, for some of these toxins to slowly migrate to a well, and then the cities pump that water up from the well, and all of a sudden, there's triacetic acid or arsenic levels or cyanide in the water supplies now, right? And so, it's all relative. We have great water compared to some people over in Africa.
Right.
Like I'll take my water, tap water, compared to, but we have different health issues than they do. They're dying from dysentery and, diarrhea. We're dying from all kinds of neurological brain disorders that they don't have, but we do have. What's the difference? Toxicity. Mm-hmm. They have biologicals in the water over there. And so what we do at Enevive, the original life, is we teach people to get back. Let's go backwards. And sometimes we have to step back and take a look at what's going on today. Some things aren't good today. There are a lot of things that are bullshit today that would have never even been thought of or happening in our country, in the world, 50 years ago, let alone 5 years ago. Right? Would you all agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. So it is with water. And so as we look at, what's happening with this toxic tsunami that's just slowly diffusing out, I could tell you horror stories about Kennecott Copper Mine, or right up at the base of Little Cottonwood Canyon near Lakai, Alta, like that down at the valley. There was a Superfund site right there where they used to harvest all the ore. They had to go in and rip up right around Lakai 3 feet of soil that was so contaminated they had a cluster of children cancer brain tumors right there in one neighborhood.
What?
And that they call it a cluster. And they're like, wow, what's going on? What's causing this? They went and did soil samples right at the base of Little Cottonwood Canyon, one of the most beautiful canyons in the world, and it's toxic soil. You just never know where this is.
Because of the tailings from the mines?
From the mines, up Little Cottonwood Canyon. There was a smelter that before Lakai was built back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's gone. It's gone, but the toxins are still there.
Wow.
And that diffuses into the soil. And we all live downstream. So
Is that the origin for the bad water in Sandy?
part of it. Yeah, part of it. Again, you get me started on this. Watch me burn. You light me up, I'm going to burn because it makes me angry. And people don't know what they don't know until they know it. And that's why we lead with the why, going back to that. So by leading with the why, do you believe you have a right to know?
Absolutely.
Yeah? What if there were toxins in the water today, right now, that increase the rates of things like cancer, birth defects, infertility rates in children? Your children's children might not be here if you do nothing. That's a possibility. That's a very real possibility. And so we ask, why do you believe this, right? If you do, would you like to know more about that? And then what we've created is a way to just simply educate people without the shadow of a salesman, without the oppression of, oh, here comes the ask, here comes the close. So I completely eliminated that. And we have a full-on research meeting. You want to learn? We'll tell you the truth without an agenda, without trying to bait and switch you. Let me come in and vacuum one floor and try to sell you now a vacuum for $10,000.
Right.
Kirby vacuum model.
Right.
So I think it's time that we look at, the way business is done, whether it's real estate, whether it's car sales, whether it's, water treatment or solar, or any of that. People are smart today. They're educated. We have the internet. We're plugged in to the most amazing information program on the planet ever in existence, right? At least on Earth. So people are educated. They don't want to be sold. They want to be educated.
Right.
And when you lead with the why, it all makes sense.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's really good stuff. I got some car salesmen that we could go and
Handle.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, there's a way to do business, and then there's like a higher, elegant way. Like I talked to a guy named Jim who's been in the water industry, and he does marketing and mailers. And I explained to him our unique research process, and I've developed this URP. And I told him all about it, and in the end, he's like, "Wow, that is an elegant way of doing business." And so we need to really examine, and if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking you're a technician and you want to do a new business, man, you're going to have that. You already have the seizure. All right. You're like, I want to do my own business, but that might not be the best thing to do.
Right.
Sometimes a really, really good technician can make more money than a business owner doing that same business. That's true.
That is true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a good salesperson who doesn't want to wear that hat can do just that they focus on their sales and their commissions. I've often thought that I've had sales teams where I'm like, that kid's making more than I am. And because he was doing his job, he was out hustling, setting the appointments and
I feel
closing.
like that's a telltale sign. Really good salesmen, that's what they're good at. And they almost don't have another lane. They're wired a little bit different.
Yeah.
But to your point about doing business elegantly, you have a saying for this, and because I'm on the spot, I can't think about it. But people can smell the salesman. They can smell
Commission
the
breath.
commission breath. Yeah. And when it comes on,
That's so
people
true.
they turn off. And I think we've got kind of a myriad of factors that are playing into this. People are more educated. You know, that whole pulling the wool over somebody's eyes, the Kirby vacuum thing. This is the strongest vacuum that. Well, no, you're going to get on your phone. You're going to Google it, and I'll give you 15 different reviews. So that smelling that commission breath is becoming more prevalent.
Yeah.
And people want the why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's a process. You got to like sit down and take some time to develop. What is my why? Why do I love this business? And put your client in the center. What do my clients really, really love? And call some of your clients and ask them, what do they love about their experience, right? What do they hate? Don't do any of the hate. Lose it. 100% gone. And focus on the things they love and accentuate it and build it. You know, and so I've tried it, I've done it. At Enevive, we are light years ahead of any other process. Water is the subject matter, but it's really health. It's really prevention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's about, and I always say to people, you either pay for your health now or you'll pay for it later.
Choose your hard.
Choose your hard. Yep. Is the squeeze worth the lemonade? You got to decide if $100 a month is worth, that's the squeeze, worth the kind of water you can have at every tap in your whole home. And so it's a real fun process of doing that. And so what we're doing is now we're expanding across the country, and we want Enevive stores. So one of the other things that we do, again, what we do is the evidence and proof of what we believe, right?
Right.
Well, one of the coolest things that we do at Enevive in our research center in Pleasant Grove is we give away free purified water to anyone. Anyone can come to our research center because we believe you have a right to safe water, and that we shouldn't pay the cost of some polluter 50, 75 years ago that polluted the soil, and now it's just coming up and killing us. We shouldn't suffer that consequence, but they're gone. There's no one to take responsibility for it. They're out of business. They're gone. So what we do is the evidence of what we believe, and what we do is give away that water. Anyone can come with any jug, any size. We have filled up RVs. People have pulled up. We run a food grade hose. We fill up their RV with ultra pure, safe, fluoride free, lead free, no arsenic, no contaminant. It's pure water. And not too far from right here, there's a really, really popular water store, the Water Wellness Store. And they sell water for $1 a gallon. That's their model. They sell water, right?
Yeah.
We do better water for free.
Wow.
So our goal is to now have water centers all across, up and down the Intermountain area and nationwide. So that's kind of our next level growth plan.
You just ring the bell, you walk in, you fill it up. There's nobody standing there with a clicker. There's nothing. You fill up your water and away you go. I've got a family member. I'm not going to name my mother-in-law. I'm not going to point her out. And she goes to the Water Wellness Store and comes in with her jugs and packing them up and down the stairs. And it's a lot to carry up and down into the basement. And she loves the guy. She supports the guy. And I told her about what you're doing, and she's like, he's giving it away? And I'm like, yeah, because it's important to him. And she was just like, man, there's got to be a catch somewhere. And I'm like, I've asked, I've looked, there's no catches. There's no, he's just doing this because it's something that you believe in doing.
Yeah. So to get back to the community. So in Pleasant Grove, 3 years in a row, starting in 2020, we moved in and built our research center there. And it's a really cool little facility. They had a boil order. So there was E. coli in the water, got into the water supply. And so that's where they put a notice on every door to alleviate liability to the city. You have to inform the consumer that there's E. coli in the water that can kill you under the right circumstance, or the wrong circumstance, right?
Yeah.
So boil order happens. We're there. We have our water center going. It's free water. We had to line out the door. The next year happened again. And then the third year, so 2020, 21, and 22, boil orders, consecutive years, and they don't know where it came from. They have no clue. because it's a break in the water distribution line. Think of all the old water lines that send the water through the pipes. We have pictures of them. Maybe we could edit one in
One
right
of those
here.
You don't want to know.
I'll send you one and edit it in. There it is. So when you look at that, we don't think about those old crusty water lines that are siphoning in dirt when they leak. And by the way, 10 to 15% of the water that a municipality sends out that's pressurized out, it's lost everywhere in the country. Some are even 30%.
What?
Old leaking infrastructure. It leaks.
So if it's going out, you know it's coming in. Is what
That's
your
right.
point is.
Yep. If it's going out, it can siphon it in. And that's what they think happened. There were boil orders that happened right before Christmas in 2016 in Linden, December 23rd, E. coli in the water. Christmas Eve, boil order. Boil it before brushing your teeth. Food prep, any kind of water, of course, your ice. Don't drink it. Don't consume it before you boil it. And then that takes a liability off of them. They've notified you. And then you sit around and wait until the boil order is lifted. And that might be 3, 5, 7 days. And so that happened just recently. Like, it happens all over. 1,500 boil water notices a week in the United States right now. And those numbers are going up. And that is a direct quote from a heroine of mine, Erin Brockovich. Literally. So 1,500 a week. You do the math, that's 30 boil water notices a week in every state every week. Not once a year, but every week. And so we have an aging infrastructure. But water softener companies don't know this. They just sell water softeners. Save on soap, no more ring in the toilet. That's what they do. But there's such a bigger aspect of water treatment. And so we do the research, we study what's in the water, how it affects the human body, and then with science and technology and the right application of the different types of media, we can get those toxins out of the water. And you can start here and go here, and you can graduate. You can do a little or go all the way. We do everything for anybody. A shower head filter. We have a new filter that's out. It's a bath ball, and you strap it on the end of your bathroom faucet for the tub, turn on the warm water. The water goes through the filter. You got filtered water for your kids. So you can do it if you're a renter. You can do it if you're a student. You can screw on a shower head and take a shower so you're not absorbing these chemicals that cause cancer through your skin directly into the blood.
Holy cow.
Water softener companies don't do that. Do you think a water softener company is going to give away free purified water?
No.
No, none of them do. I've never met one that has, and I've traveled the whole country to look. So doing things differently, look at the client, right? Look at your customer. That's the ultimate product that you sell. It isn't water treatment systems. It's the experience. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Figure out the why. Why is it what do I believe? Do you believe this? We believe this together? Oh, that's easy. Let's do business. Start with a why. And re-engineer your client experience. And it does not matter if you're selling widgets, hamburgers, anything. Real estate, homes, cars, and I've figured out and I've created this DER method, and maybe we'll come back on another show and talk about the DER method. But by doing this, what happens is anytime somebody has an exchange, right, and it's happening right now, everyone is asking themselves when I'm talking, do I believe that? Is that true? And it happens really fast. And one of two things will happen. With what I say, your interest level will either start to rise or your resistance level will start to rise. And I've created a methodology and a system that you can, because anytime you meet with, especially in a sales presentation, people's resistance is high, interest is low. Well, what if you could track and you could actually mark with a system of how to create a way to lower the resistance, like a heartbeat, boop, 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 right? While increasing at the same time interest level. And what happens is when resistance is lower, then the interest level from that point forward, I call that trust. That's trust. When resistance is lower than trust, or interest level, when resistance is lower and interest is higher, from then on out, you're in a trust factor. So it's called the Durr method. It's really, really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some exciting news. We're going to be talking about at American Masterminds. We're going to be rolling out some opportunities for you to enroll and learn about the Durr method, or to engage with Trent on these different areas. And so stay tuned with the American Masterminds. There's a little commercial I'm throwing out there.
Appreciate it.
Because there's some great things that are coming. And the people that have been on the American Masterminds, we have met some geniuses in their area, true geniuses in what they're doing. And what if we could create a space where you could go in and you can actually buy a little piece of that to get a little bit more. Am I really interested in this? Do I want to go down this road a little bit further? Or even maybe get a little bit of Trent's time, and you can talk about my business. How can I apply this to that? Because the thing I'm hearing that you would be amazing at is like, okay, well, tell me what you do. Tell me how you do it. Help me understand that. And once you have the outline of the what you do and how, well, then you can go deeper and you can discover the why, because this is something you've become very scientific about. And if you're a listener at the American Masterminds, there's a tremendous amount of value of what we're bringing to you today on the podcast and in the things that will be moving forward in the future. And I want you to keep your eyes on this, because that's our goal, is to create an opportunity for all of us to grow here.
Right.
And having Trent on here, like, every time you're like reinforcing it for me, like, wow, this is something that people could use. This is something people that need. This is something that I need. I need to learn more about the Durr method, and I need to learn these things to implement in my life, because regardless of who you are, you're always trying to reduce that resistance and increase that trust. You're trying to create that in every relationship, in your marriage, with your children, at church. You want to get to the point where you're creating trust with people, because if you can do that, this life is about relationships. It's about creating in our world a cohesiveness where I can count on you and you can count on me, and there's no question. It's that trust is there. Yeah. And if you tell me that's the way it is, well then, Trent, that's the way it is, man. That's how it is. And that's something that I really appreciate about what you're trying to say here. So American Mastermind listeners, pay attention to what we're trying to accomplish here, because these things can be available to you, and this is important. And Trent, we've talked a little bit about it. I hope you can be a part of that as we're moving forward, because that's a tremendous value for anyone that is trying to build rapport. And trying to connect and really believes in what they're doing. I, for example, believe that if you hire a different real estate agent besides me, you're making a mistake. That's my belief, because I answer my phone. I do what I say. I keep my word. And because I have this belief in me, I think that if I could apply your methods, I can improve my ability to win over the trust, because that's really what I'm trying to do. It's not about gaining the business anymore. It's about getting people to want to do business with me. And if we don't align, that's fine. But let's work on that. Let's get clear about that. And you're telling me you have a way that you can rank it, like through the process. You can be like, okay, they're more interested. They're more interested. And you can keep them engaged. I call it crossover. When resistance drops and interest crosses that point, it's like an intersection. Bloop, you can tell what happens. And there are visual keys. There's nonverbal cues that you can watch. And suddenly they start asking you questions. That's a really big one, and it all starts. No longer telling. And it starts, and by the way, I did not know anything about this mastermind seminars or whatever you're going to do. I don't know, but I want to be in. I can tell, because we have similar like-mindedness. Like, I want to be a part of that, whatever that looks like. But when you start, and the Durr method is an acronym, and it's D is for discover. And there's a methodology of doing a proper discovery. And there's a technique to it that if you understand the psychology of asking the right questions in the right order, it opens people's mind up. Before you ever uncover is the next one, you discover. So the Durr method is discover, uncover, and that's where after you've discovered what they believe, now what is evident through what you do is what you believe. And now you can share some information about what you believe. But at first, it's all about what they believe, period, discovery. And you're not doing it for manipulation. You're seeking to understand, right? We've all heard these things, like Stephen R. Covey, seek to understand and sharpen the saw. And, it's nothing that I've really created that's new. It's just the way I've kind of put it together.
So discover, uncover, and then reveal. The R is to reveal. So a lot of people, when they get into a sales call or you're teaching something new, a lot of people are just like, get right to it. And that is not good to do. That is revealing first. There's an order to it. You discover first, then you uncover, then you reveal prices, products. That's the what and the how. But the why is all in the beginning. You start with the why. Discover. What is your why? How can I connect those dots? Right? What are you trying to accomplish? How are you trying to accomplish that? What's important to you as a family? Right? What do you already know about this subject or that? I don't want to tell them things they already know. So discover, uncover, reveal. And then if what happens is all of a sudden if the resistance is low and all of a sudden it starts to rise, you have to restore. And that's the final R. DURR. Discover, uncover, reveal, and then restore. Restore what? Trust. You restore trust. And you don't overcome, you don't like, I'm going to overcome the objections with
Resolve
tactics
the
and
concern.
yes, I'm going to use my sales prowess from, John Hopkins and Tony Robbins and, Tommy Hopkins and
the pop by.
yeah. I'll just pop by.
Gonna pop by.
Yeah, I know that one.
Or
Zig Ziglar.
Oh man, I love the Zig.
I mean, there's some great stuff.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but it's a new era.
Yeah.
Like it really is. And so, when you follow a methodology, you know where you're at too. And the scariest thing about walking around at night in New York City is not knowing where the bad guys are. If you know where all the bad guys are, you can walk around New York City all night long. If you know where they're all at.
Sure.
Certainly.
And so not knowing where you're at in relationship to where they're at is the scary part. But when you know, it gives you confidence and it gives you trust and it gives you credibility as well. And people just open up. They just like I've had people literally come into Enevive at our water research center, and I've had some very high-end clients come in. I'm working right now with probably one of the biggest names in Utah, one of the most wealthy men in the whole, perhaps in the country right now. And I've had people like him come in and say, Trent, this was the most amazing buying retail experience I've ever had. And that was the biggest compliment I've ever received. It isn't, oh, your water system looks so good, and oh, it makes my water taste good. No, it's the experience that people have. That's what we're selling, is that experience, and it doesn't matter what it is. Anyway.
Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Well, Trent, let's shift gears just a little bit. You, as an athlete growing up with the disciplines and playing ball and doing all these things, like you are disciplined. You have a routine. Can you tell us a little bit about what creates a successful day in the life of Trent? Start out, like we're kicking off the morning. How does it look?
Well, like I've got my weaknesses too.
Oh, sure.
And I'm sure if you were to ask my wife, she'd be rolling her eyes right now because she sees me behind the door, right?
Let's say a perfect morning.
Perfect morning. Get up. Like my eye, I don't use an alarm clock. I stopped that years ago. I tell my brain when to wake up, and it wakes up like 6:30 or 7 o'clock almost every day. So I'll get up. I'll make a protein shake. I try to get 30 grams of protein in right off the bat. Some water. I usually have water right at my nightstand. The first thing I do, even before I hit the can, is I'll drink 32 ounces of purified water in a steel flask.
Wow.
And it's usually ice water. So I'll just hydrate. 32 ounces, and it's done. No, most people can't do that, but I do. And then I go to the bathroom, get a protein shake, and I go hit the hot tub. And I'm in my hot tub, and then I do ice plunges every morning.
So let's just be clear. Ice plunges is 3 rounds. How long are you in the ice?
3 to 7 minutes.
3 to 7 minutes. Then back in the hot tub.
Yeah.
Then back in the ice. Back in the hot tub. Why do you do that? Because that's a great way to have a heart attack.
Well, Actually, they've shown that it releases a lot of great endorphins and it relieves stress and anxiety. I would be probably a basket case if I wasn't doing something to help mitigate stress and anxiety, but it really, really works for me. I find that I don't stress out all day long when I'm in the cold. Like it's legit. It really is.
So then how long are you in the hot tub? So 3 to 7 minutes in the cold.
Probably 15 to 20 minutes.
And then back in the cold.
And I'm doing yoga. I'm doing stretches.
You're Wim Hof breathing.
Wim Hof. Yeah. I'm very careful though with deep breathing in water.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah. So
That's called
then I'll
drowning.
go today. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone's allergic to water to some degree.
Yeah.
They're just sneaking in there, Rob.
Yeah.
At it, baby.
Yeah. So like this morning, I had to take a 25-pound dumbbell and crack it was like this thick of ice.
No.
So I cracked it up, went under full immersion, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, holding my breath under the water. And then I come up, take another deep breath, and I'm alive. Like you are present. And
Okay.
it was 32 degrees.
Oof.
It was amazing.
Oh, man.
3 minutes. 3 minutes and I was done.
So then that's 3 rounds. Then you're
Yeah.
back in the hot tub. You're warmed up again. You get out of the hot tub now. What's up?
I'll do 3 rounds of that. I'm battling with weight. Like I'm trying to lose weight and get healthier every day. So that's a real battle that I have with myself, right? So I'm trying to I'm eating better, trying to do, yoga, hot tub, push-ups, sit-ups. I'll do rollouts downstairs. And that's when I'm feeling good. But there are days where I'm like, I don't feel so good. Like I got a really bad back and I need a knee replacement. So I'm battling some stuff there. But then I'll get to the office. I'll pick, some of my big 3. You taught me some of that too, right? And really identify what needs to be done today.
The
But
non-negotiables.
yeah.
These got to happen.
Yeah, but I don't stress out about everything like some people do. Some people just get all caught up in the details. And I really, really focus on my intention of the day. Not sure how I'm going to get there. Not sure what it's all going to look like. But I'm that yellow personality too. I'm a promoter personality. And so I love spontaneity and I'll flow. But some people, they're like, boom, 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 list. And I think it's really important that you understand and love and appreciate your personality style. You can't be a Tony Robbins, if you're a Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
And really understanding your own psychology, right? And there's some things that I teach about the behavioral matrix. There are 2 questions I ask people. I can read people's handshakes and know what personality you are just by the first handshake, pretty much probably 90% of the time. And I've learned through training how to do that. And so then I'm going to tailor my presentation so that I'm speaking your language. If you're a promoter, man, it's fun. If you're an analytical, it's here are the facts and figures. Here's the bullet points, boom, 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 short to the point. If you're a supporter personality, well, it's all about love and family and really understanding.
Did you notice that when Trent was going through these examples, he pointed at me when he said the one, and he pointed at you when he said the other?
Yeah.
He's got us diagnosed.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're speaking their language because communicating is that's your craft.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But understanding your own personality. You can't fit a round peg in a square hole. So really to learn to appreciate who you are and accept who you are. I look in the mirror this morning, I look in the mirror, I'm naked. And I'm standing there, I'm thinking, oh, man, you got to lose some weight. I love you. And I just said, I love you. And some men have a hard time doing that. Just to look at yourself in the mirror 6 feet back and just say, I love you. Even though I need to lose some weight and I don't look very hot right now, I love you, right? That's important. But to really accept who you are and appreciate your gifts, because every personality style has gifts and talents and weaknesses. But you cannot be, who's the guy, the ex-Navy SEAL?
Goggins.
Goggins. Oh, man, he's badass.
not everybody is him.
Not
In
everybody,
fact,
very
nobody
few.
else is
Yeah.
him.
But then we start to judge ourselves in comparison to Goggins, and now we're losers.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's wrong. Understand who you are and appreciate that. Adopt it, accept it fully, and then work on yourself. 1% a day, you're 365% better at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so I've just learned to appreciate myself.
I love that. The big three thieves, or the dark horsemen of unhappiness, are comparison, criticizing, and judgment. And you've used all three of those words in this example, in fact. And those are deal killers. If you're comparing yourself and criticizing and judging on others, you're judging on yourself. If you're hard on them, you're hard on you. And I think there's a lot of power in recognizing the CCJ, the compare, criticize, and judgment that rolls across our brain pans as men, especially.
Yeah.
Because we are really good at comparing ourselves to, like, well, Topher can do it. Topher's writing in his journal every day, and he's going to the gym, and he's got a great motorcycle, and I wish I was more like Topher. Well, there's already a Topher.
Yeah.
He's got that covered. The job has been filled.
Yeah, nobody wants that. You spend some time up in here.
Yeah. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
We don't really know what's happening. We don't know the price that Trent has paid to be here, which is a fantastic price. It's years and years of hard work and commitment. This isn't an overnight discovery of the Durr method. This is years of getting the door slammed in your face or having success. And why was I successful this time and not successful last time? I'm using the same words. And over we go. I think that's some wisdom there. If you could say, if you were to be able to talk to a young man and look him in the eye, what would be the most important thing, or what would be the best method you could communicate to him to create that self-acceptance and that self-love? Because we're not raised that way.
No. No. I think it takes, you have to understand what your current position is. Another great book is Self-Deception, The Box. Nightingale, I think it is. I don't remember exactly, but self-deception, getting out of the box. But the key is you have to have an accurate understanding of where you're at right now.
Your strengths, your weaknesses, all of it. Like it's an inventory.
If you're lost in the wilderness and you have a map, you have a coordinate of where you want to go, so your goal, your vision, your goal, you can have the map, you can have a compass, you can have the best books, the best mentors, you can have a goal. And if you don't know exactly where you're at, you're lost.
Yeah.
If you can't be honest with where you're really at, it doesn't matter where you're going, because you're lost to start.
Sure.
Because you think you're here and you want to go here, but really you're here.
Yeah.
You have to be honest, like no bullshit. Am I into porn? Yes or no? Do I do things that build my body? Yes or no? Am I drinking every day? Yes or no? Do I need drugs to satisfy whatever it is? Yes or no? You have to take an accurate assessment of where you're at with no bullshit. And then you can plan your course. It doesn't matter what clear your vision is if you're not honest with where you're really at. Like with my weight. Okay, I'm fat and overweight. Okay, that's where I'm at. I need to know where I'm at. I need to know my caloric, expenditures for day, my resting heart rate, blah, blah, blah. But if I'm pretending that I'm not really on and honest with where I'm at with my health and my weight, it doesn't matter how good I want to get if I'm pretending to be something I'm not. So I think really the first step for a young man or a young woman, and what I've tried to teach my kids too, is to think it, is to create it. And you have to start with, where am I? Honestly. And what's so cool about this too is that I could look at somebody's checking account. If I said to Topher, show me your checking account right now, I could tell, based on what's in your checking account, some of your beliefs about money because of the result. You can tell some of my beliefs about food because of the result. Like, by the way, Rob, you're looking hot. You're like muscle. You're getting ripped. Dude,
Thanks.
right here, brother.
Appreciate that. Oh man, that's great.
Yep. So
I had to change my beliefs. I'm down 120 pounds. I had to change those beliefs about who I was. You know, the one thing, it's interesting that you should say that. I used to tell a lot of fat guy jokes about myself. And you know who suffered those fat guy jokes? I did. I was saying it, and my body was hearing it, feeling it, and I was manifesting it. And I had to put that away. I had a friend pull me aside, and she said, her name was Sheila. She said, "Rob, you got to quit talking about my friend like that." My belief was that I was overweight and I was unhealthy, and that it was okay for me to have an extra slice of cake or whatever the thing was. I had no care about my caloric intake or my protein or all of the things. And it was this one shift when she pulled me aside and she said, "You got to quit talking to my friend like that." And I had this moment of like, well, shit, if Sheila cares more about me than I care about me, then there's a real problem there. That was one of my big, like, truthful with myself. Like, okay, here we are.
You know what's kind of cool, or not cool, but amazing about that? It's all perspective, right? The story that you're telling yourself, what you believe. Okay, when you came in and I said, "Trent," like, I meant that as a term of endearment. You're the only person I know that makes Rob look small, and that wasn't a fat thing.
no, I know.
To me, it was
I know.
like, as a former athlete, I appreciate large humans. Okay, like I do. I didn't have it. If I had 6 more inches, maybe my story would have been a little different. And so the perspective of everything and changing how you're talking to yourself, all of that stuff matters, because just 2 different opinions looking at one guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and so
Great advice.
Getting a real accurate and honest, and so reading that book, you know, Self-Deception, I think it's called. Maybe you could look that up.
Did you read? I mean, it's the same thing as extreme ownership. It's everything. You just own exactly what it is. I find that very freeing.
Yeah.
You know, to take, because taking ownership of it, that means you can do something about it.
Yeah, and you're not a victim.
No.
Yeah.
This just is what it is.
Yeah. Oh, it's my genetics. It's how it is. It's my age. It's no. It's your decision every day. And and I think that applies to a lot of things, not just our fitness. I mean, it's everything. It's just me deciding finally, like, okay, I've had enough of this shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what that line is for people. It's always different. Everybody has a different bottom or rock bottom, whatever you want to call that, where they're like, okay, I have to do something extreme for some extreme results. The second thing for me was going to the doctor. I had this old family doctor, and he looked me in the eye and he said, "If you keep it up, you're going to be dead by the time you're 40. That means you don't get to walk your kids down the aisle." And I was just like, you could have just told me I need to cut back on my M&Ms. That would have been nice. But it worked. I needed someone to tell me, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And it got my attention. And I remember the first time I wanted to run around my block, I lived in kind of the middle of the block. I ran to the curb, the corner, and I had to sit down. I walked home. I didn't go the rest of the way around the block, so I started just walking, walking and giving up soda, which here I am drinking me a nice, delicious Mountain Dew again. But it's
a podcast treat.
It's a special treat.
Yeah.
But it's those little things.
And also when we do have, you know, a Mountain Dew or we have a piece of cake, that we don't criticize and beat ourselves up.
Yes.
We say, okay, that's what happened. It is what it is. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
And not hold and carry that. So one really thing cool about water too is water we have now discovered has memory. They have proven this now scientifically. Water carries memory in it. Don't know how. And the physiology of water is really evolving with science right now. I could go on a whole long tangent and tell you about how frequency, the sound of DNA, when transmitted into water, created the DNA structure from the sound.
What?
That's true. It's true. So water carries memory. We have a transmitter, our brain. It is a transmitter of frequency. They've proven this now. And it's also a receiver. So our brains both transmit thought, which is frequency and vibration, measurable. We also receive frequency, right? And then if water is in fact, and it is, the most conductive element in the universe, water. So here we are, the majority of us is water, 70 to 80%, depending on who you are and how old you are. Little babies are all plump. They're like 85% water at birth. So depending on where you're at with health and hydration, we're full of water, and our brain is sending this frequency into the water, and it remembers it, and we have to reprogram our body with our thinking. To think it is to create it.
So I could think into the water, this is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
This is satisfying. This is cleansing. It's carrying out things that don't serve me. And the water will deliver that message to my cells. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
You can speak intention into the water, and it changes the physical dynamics of water. They've proven it. Yep.
I've heard that very similarly, like about food as well, and which of course is mostly water if you're eating well. That's what praying over food does, is because you bless this food so it'll give me health and strength. You're giving that food intention.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're talking about?
Absolutely.
Huh.
Yep. And if not prayer, what is it? Like when we send a prayer to God or to our upper, whatever consciousness, we send that thought, and it is a frequency. And that's also how we receive impressions. Is our brain, they've proven, is both a transmitter and a receiver of this frequency. And that's what causes people to kind of connect with each other too. Some people walk in a room and they don't have to say anything, and you feel the room get brighter.
Yeah, the vibration.
Some people, the room gets brighter when they leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And so in that frequency, we have to tune into, right? And it's about being present. So back to the ice. When you're in the ice and you're in the cold, and it's really cold, and you want to get out and you want to scream, and your body's tingling, and you're forcing yourself into that position, it creates growth in a part of your brain that if you don't force it to do things you don't want to do, it doesn't grow. And the ability to overcome and doing the things that you really don't want to do, but doing it anyway, that makes all the difference.
So we're either strengthening our quitting muscles, or we're strengthening our endurance to not quit.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a cool perspective. I've been cold plunging, and I have to tell you, there's something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried doing your method. I've been doing that back and forthness.
Yeah.
I haven't been in the hot tub for 15 minutes. I'll go like 4 minutes and 4 minutes back and forth, and it does change the day. It changes the day. And so.
And I always end on the cold.
You end on the cold.
I end on the cold.
You don't get back and warm up on the last time.
Because you want your body to get cold, and then with its own heat itself up through the next hour or so.
Creating the brown fats. And,
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Trent. I always learn when I'm around this guy. I always learn something good.
This has been fun.
It's been good stuff. Well, listen, as we're getting close to the end of the podcast, it's important that we are talking about the things that are important to you and to deliver the message. If you could deliver one thing, you could say one thing to our audience about Enevive or about whatever it is, like what would that message be?
Can I jump in for one?
Oh gosh, you always do this.
Sorry.
Damn it.
You gotta look this way. So I've had this question, and since we went on that ride, okay? You were talking about the reverse osmosis, and we don't need to get into that today.
Yeah.
But my question is how does rain work in terms of a filtration system? Is that actually is it pure? Is that the earth actually doing it, or is it all these contaminants and whatnot still in rainwater?
Yeah, so you had mentioned in the very beginning, there is no such thing as new water. So not just thousands of years, but millions or billions. So the earth never receives new H2O, and it doesn't evaporate into outer space. And if it did, we would be dead.
Right.
So we literally are drinking the same water the dinosaurs drank, and before the dinosaurs, and Adam and Eve, and Jesus Christ, and Buddha, however. So the water evaporates, and it's distilled through evaporation. All the dissolved solids, all the contaminants stay on the ground. Water evaporates back up. It is pure and distilled. If you stuck a straw in the cloud and sucked the water out, it would be the most amazing pure water out there. You can't get any better. And so some people like, drinking pure water, distilled water will demineralize your bones. That is ridiculous. And it's promoted by marketing companies that sell filters that don't purify. Okay. And so, but as water falls through the atmosphere after a rainstorm, you're like, oh, smell that smell.
Nice. That's good.
Like, you can see farther, and the cloud is, the sun is coming through, and that smell of air after a rainstorm, the air is clean. the car is filthy. So then that water continues down through the soil, or it runs down a river, or it sits in a lake. And it never, one thing about water is that it wants to dissolve and clean. It wants to absorb, because that's what it's here for. It cleans the earth, the sky, the soil, the rivers, and then it starts over, it evaporates back up. And then we use it. We use it to drink and to cook with, and we use it to clean our bodies inside and out. And so the quality of water that a person is exposed to is paramount. It is the most important ingredient. You can go and buy the top quality protein or creatine or whatever it might be, and then you add water to it, right? You take it home, mix it up with a shaker bottle, and you drink it down with water. And the quality of the water determines the quality of the product, right? So you might as well just buy the garbage product if you're going to use tap water, you know?
But the question, so like you put a hose or a straw in the cloud, like the earth has this filtration process down. If you could get up there to get it before it goes through anything. And
they actually have new technology right now that, like when you turn on your air conditioner in the summer and water starts going down the drain, the cold air is pulling the moisture, the humidity out, and it's condensing in the condenser chamber, and it's pure water. So you can take an air conditioner type mechanism, put it in the desert, and pull water out of the air if you have power. That's a new technology that they're coming out with.
Wow.
It's already out. You can literally, because a lot of places on the planet, it is barren. There's no water. It's down deep, but they can't drill the well because they don't have the technology or the ability, but there's humidity in the air, and you can pull that humidity out of the air and drink it, and it is pure distilled, the best water out there. Right out of the air.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering that. I really appreciate it. I've had that question since I first met. Okay.
Water is like a new frontier. Like we're discovering things right now about water the research is incredible.
Well, the one thing that you've changed in my mind about water is, like, I believe, or I started before I knew you, I believe that the water's water. You know, if it's been polluted, it's been polluted. If you lived out in Riverton, you've been drinking Riverton water, and it is what it is. It's what it's always been. But you use the word tsunami of toxins, and I didn't really understand what that meant until you explained the slow saturation into the soil, and then all of a sudden, bam, there we have the arsenic, there we have the leads and all the different things in the water. That's something that I never really put together, and so it makes me concerned, because my mentality is I've been drinking out of the tap since I was, a kid. I ate lead paint. I've done all the things, you know what I mean? And here I sit. How bad could it be? Well, it's not how bad it has been, it's how bad it's going to be. And it's not a fear sell, it just is what it is. There's been contaminants happening as we've refined and grown, and we've made bad decisions in the past with the mines around here and different things that at the time wasn't an environmental crisis, where now we're realizing, wow, that was not wise. And so it's an interesting perspective to know that we're headed for trouble. Now's the time to probably be acting. I don't want to have to worry about an E. coli scare,
an outbreak
after I get the notice on my door. Were you able to drink your water because of your filtration system in your home the whole time?
And what's happening is, it's like when that tsunami, if you're up on high ground and you're at the beach and you're a little bit up and you see the wave coming in, it's up to you to start yelling, "Hey, run! It's coming!" You can't stop it. And so it is with water. This tsunami of toxicity is already hitting. The first wave has already hit the shore.
So what are some of the symptoms of the first wave? What does that look like? Are we talking about the diseases you were referring to?
Look at infertility rates. 50 years ago, infertility in couples was 1 in 200. Today it's 1 in 5. 50 years. So this is Enevive, the original life, getting back before that tsunami. How do we do that? Infertility rates, hormonal development. Look today, the testosterone levels of young men in their early or late teens and early 20s, it should be,
through the
boner city. But it's not. And so today, young men that are exposed to these chemicals, they have testosterone levels of 80-year-old men.
Well, this is the question then. This is where I'm going with this, because there's a point to this, and that is, like, is it reversible? Let's say I install this now, and man, I've been drinking bad water for 53 years solid. I drink a lot of water, about a gallon a day. I'm that guy. Is this a reversible process? Is there still time for recovery in our unhealthy bodies?
It's similar to, I think, with smoking. Like my mom I grew up around a smoker. My mother, God bless her, she smoked her whole life, right? She finally quit, and the lungs have an ability to expel and heal, even after 40 years of smoking. It's bioaccumulative, the toxins in our body, and there are ways to expel those out. And the first thing to do, stop smoking, number one. If you're a smoker and somebody goes, I've been smoking my whole life, I don't need to stop. Well, what quality of life do you want to try to have moving forward? So yes, you want to stop smoking, number one, and then do things and employ tactics that can help to heal your lungs. Drinking pure water flushes the kidneys. It doesn't pull minerals from your body, but it does pull toxins out. It all starts with water. And at the cellular level, the ability for the cell to pass water to the inside and out its waste. The cleaner the water, the cleaner the body. So you can, I believe, heal the body through water. There's so much, there's books written about this. It's incredible. Just don't have the time to get into it all, but it's fascinating.
So there's a lot of people out there that are food experts, so-called, but it's very rare to come across a water expert.
Mm-hmm.
How much, because they're saying the exact same thing that's coming from the food.
Mm-hmm.
In your view, how much of this is water and how much is it the food?
It's kind of a two-edged sword. It gets you both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's the water and the food. But
I guess you're making all the food with the water that you're,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, even boiling pasta. Like there's a big topic out there about fluoride. I'm super against fluoridated water supplies. There's over 100 human studies and animal studies that proves that adding fluoride to water causes neurotoxicity. They've now lumped fluoride. This is from Harvard School of Medicine. They say fluoride is now in the same group as arsenic, lead, and mercury for causing chemical brain drain. So we all know how bad mercury is, right? When I was a kid, when we were in science class in 7th grade, we played with it. And now they'd shut the whole building down and, oh my gosh, everyone, you know? And so, but no, back in the day, but we all know now how bad mercury is, right? So they've lumped fluoride in with mercury and lead and arsenic because they know that these poisons, lead, mercury, and arsenic, causes chemical brain drain. It causes brain damage,
right?
Neurological disorders, right? Lower IQ and attention span in children. And now research has said, well, we're going to take that same grouping of those three and we're putting fluoride in with it now. This is from Harvard, okay? In a meta-analysis. So fluoride is horrible. They say don't drink or eat fluoridated toothpaste for a reason. And there's a warning label that if you swallow a pea-sized amount, and that's about the size of my little finger pinky nail, if you swallow that much fluoride, call poison control. Yeah. Because of the fluoride. And yet we're drinking water every day across the world in the country. 74% of the country right now is fluoridated. And they know what it does, and they're doing it intentionally.
What's their reasoning for putting it there in the first place?
Tooth decay. But children, if children, and this is the key to the fluoride issue, if children are exposed and they ingest systemic distribution of fluoride into the stomach, into the intestines, absorbed through the intestines, into the bloodstream, the blood then carries the fluoride to the developing teeth in the mandible, the jaw. So if you're a child and you're growing adult teeth, if the teeth cells are exposed to fluoride, it hardens them. You'll have lower tooth decay, right?
Okay.
That's good. And it's complete bullshit. It's complete propaganda. And I have the proof and the evidence.
I've heard stories where fluoride has been linked to like blocking your ability to open your third eye, and it creates an inability for you to even process information. I've heard all these different reports, and I think growing up in the fluoride generation, where we paid extra in Texas to get fluoridated water.
Yeah.
There was a charge on the water bill. There was like a 75 cents a month with
Yep.
extra fluoride
Yep.
Wow.
to help your children grow strong teeth. I've long time thought, well, that's bullshit right there. That's
Yeah.
But more and more, I'm hearing this to be true.
How would they
For-
even do that?
I know, right? But here's the thing, two things. There's a pandemic right now, a real pandemic. Children between the ages of 12 and 15, 41%, almost half of the children in the entire country have some form of dental fluorosis. That's where the teeth get stained. And it's usually like a stripe right across the teeth. Because when they were little, they were overexposed to fluoride, and it causes what they call dental fluorosis. Mild are like white chalky marks, and you look at somebody that has this, and
That they had braces or something.
they have braces or they didn't brush their teeth, right? Well, go brush your teeth. Nope, your parents let you have water or gave you too much fluoride. The only thing that causes that is overexposure to fluoride, and it weakens the teeth. Severe, it's black staining.
Really?
So 41% of children today, right now,
have black stains.
have some form of or a level of dental fluorosis.
Huh.
Because they systemically were exposed. They drank it in. They ate the toothpaste. They drank fluoridated water too much. And it causes permanent damage and scarring of the teeth. And if it's doing that to the teeth, what is it doing to the rest of the bones in the body? It weakens them.
By making them brittle? Like you said, that hardening, it's making them brittle. Huh.
Overexposure. So they've known this too, and that's why we have a petition out to try to get fluoride out of the water. I talked to some water softener companies. Literally, one of the owners of a local water softener company said to me, Trent, why would you want to get fluoride out of the water? Because we'll sell less filters to remove fluoride.
Oh, wait a second.
I'm like, man, is that really what you believe?
Is that what
Do you believe that?
That's what you're selling?
Damn.
Yeah, no, I believe you have a right to safe water, period. We need to ban fluoride. Number two, that's number one, scarring of the teeth. Number two, and maybe you wrap up on this, I believe that you have a right to choose if you take a drug. That there is no government agency, no city township, the EPA, the FDA, no one has the right to force you against your will. It doesn't matter if you're in America or not. It's a God-given right to choose if you take a drug. In other words, if you choose not to, the Gestapo will break down the door, hold you down, inject you with the drug, and say, there, now you got it. That is forced medication against your will. Adding fluoride to water is forced medication on a mass population with zero accountability and zero way to control the dose. If you're a runner and you drink a gallon a day, if you live in Salt Lake County, it is a county law that every municipality in Salt Lake County except one, and that's White City and Sandy, they're annexed. But in 2003, and this is when I went down that rabbit hole, the same time I read the E-Myth book, I'm like, oh my gosh, I better figure this fluoride thing out. So I started really researching and studying both sides. I was neutral at the time in 2002. But 2003, I was like, holy cow. Number one, this is not fluoride that's mined from Mother Earth. This is a chemical byproduct of the aluminum industry called hydrofluorosilicic acid. Highly toxic. And that's what they're dripping into the water supply. It's not some mineral from Kanab, Utah.
Yeah.
You know,
from the fluoride mine.
No, it's literally, most of it's from China. So they're selling toxic sludge to America. We're buying it, traveling it across interstate highways. The municipal workers, literally, I've interviewed them, talked to them. They're like, okay, we're going to draw straws. Whoever gets the short straw, you get to handle the fluoride today when it arrives. You have to put hazmat suits on it. On our website, I have a picture, Enevive.com, of the picture of the warning label on the hydrofluorosilicic acid, and it says, do not take internally. And we're putting it in our water supply. This is where you light me up, I'm going to burn.
I can see it.
It is so ridiculous when you understand what it really is, but we're sold this propaganda that, oh, it's good for you. It's good for your children's teeth. But after the age of about 12, it does nobody any good. So we're fluoridating our toilet water, our shower water, the adult water, drinking water, everything. The sprinkler water is all fluoridated. It's a huge waste of money. And we're denying people the right to choose if you take a drug or not. It is a drug.
Interesting perspective. That is it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's insane.
That is nuts.
That's
That
the
is
tip
nuts.
of the iceberg, too. Let me tell you.
I can feel it. We're going to do your thing because we could go all night.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the American Mastermind listeners, we are grateful to have Trent here sharing with us how we have taken this wonderful resource maybe a little bit for granted, and maybe what we can do to improve our lives, and that it's not too late. Not too late to make that change. If you're interested in more information, click on the Enevive link to learn more, to make contact with this great company, because they're doing something with integrity. They're doing something that they believe in, and so I think that that's something worth investigating further, if it can also be something that will improve my family's health.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed the podcast, please share it, like it, and subscribe. Please leave comments. We'd love to read those comments on air. And if you're interested in being on the podcast, please let us know. We're always looking for great humans like Trent that are doing things in the community that really matter. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.